Hey everybody, I'm Brendon McKeon, and we're out here at my farm in Tambor, Costa Rica. And today we're going to be talking about feeding animals from the land. You can hear all the animals all over the place here in the background. They like what we're talking about today. Feeding animals from the land, this is something that we've been working on since the day we moved in here. We love animals. Animals are such an important part of permaculture systems. And in the beginning, it was really a challenge for us to figure out how we could provide all the nutrients that our animals would need right here from this landscape. And you know, the thing is really we want to limit as much as we can, bring in outside resources and things that are, you know, using fuel and using resources that are not renewable, and all the things that come with going to the feed store and buying feed. Of course, everybody knows about GMO and the fact that most of the corn that's in the animal feeds today is GMO based. And that's, you know, we want to cut that out of the line, obviously. We don't want that going into our animals, and we don't want that going into our bodies. So, you know, we've spent all these years figuring this out, and today I'm going to talk a little bit about what we do here at our farm. We look at two different aspects. You know, we want to make sure the animals feel full and they're getting plenty of bulk in their diets. The carbohydrates, which in normal feeds would be where the grains come in, and then we also want to give them plenty of protein. And so the things that we use for the bulk is a variety of things here on our farm. But what we're going to be working with here today is called peivae here in Costa Rica, which is also known as peach palm. And it grows on a palm tree. We have it all over our farm here. It grows in big, huge racks. We're going to go over and take a look at it here in a minute. And super high, dense nutrient food. And it grows on the tree. So again, it's also it's a perennial crop, which is another benefit. And the peivae come in for about 4 months out of the year. And so what we've done is we've come up with a system, a way to preserve that throughout the year. Now, here in the tropics, we have to deal a lot less with food preparation than somebody would in, say, a place where there's a really long winter climate for our personal food, because we can grow food here year-round. But when it comes to our animal feeds, we really need to look at how we can take these harvests that come in large amounts in small periods of time and how we can make them last throughout the year. And so what we've come up with here, the strategy we use, is we kind of offset crops. And so this time of the year, which generally starts around July and lasts about 4 months, we have a huge amount of peivae coming off the land. And so what we do is we take this peivae, we cook it up. It's kind of like a potato. It's a starch, and we cook it up, and then we shred it and mash it, and we stuff it into airtight containers, and we pack it down airtight, and then we seal it with a cap of molasses. And what that does is that molasses helps seal the air in there, and it also helps create a biological layer of protection over that peivae. And it's really incredible. The first time I did that, you know, I wasn't really sure what was going to happen. I had heard about it and, you know, did some experimentation. I let one of my containers go for about a year just because I wanted to see really how long could this thing last. I peeled back that top layer of molasses, which at that point was just kind of a fungusy looking cap on it. Like a white mycelium cap. I peeled that back, and the peivae was as fresh as the day I stuck it in there in the first place. I mean, I would have eaten it, you know. And it was an amazing thing to see. So that's one of the strategies we use. We take all this peivae, we cook it all up. Basically every Friday, we'll go out and harvest all the peivae, and then over the weekend, I'll cook it and mash it and fill containers up. So we basically fill enough containers in those few months that we're doing it, 3 to 4 months that we're collecting it, that will last us 6 to 8 months. And then we plant all of our root crops, things down here like nyampi, tequisque, malanga, you know, all these really hardy root crops that do really well here in the tropics. And yucca is another one. And we grow those and we harvest those right towards the period where we start running out of peivae. And then we use those for another 6 months. We also have a huge amount of bananas on the farm, so we cook green bananas, and then we also give ripe bananas to the animals. all the studies show that the roots, the bananas, all these starchy fillers will almost completely eliminate a concentrado or buying concentrates and giving your animals that type of feed. Now the one thing that's missing in that diet is protein. And so what we've come up with here on our farm, you know, there's different protein sources that we use. One of them is our chop and drop legumes, right? So we have all these leguminous trees, which are also very high in protein and are really great for animal fodder. So we chop a lot of that stuff and give that to our animals with these fillers. And then the other thing we do is we raise more milking cows than we actually need for our own consumption. And we do what's called clabbering the milk, which is culturing. Real simple process. You basically collect your milk, you let it sit in a bucket for about 3 days, and it basically turns to a yogurt-like substance. The whey separates a little bit off the top, and what this does is it puts tons of beneficial bacteria in that, and it also breaks down the protein and makes it possible for the animals to digest a lot easier. And we also soak a little bit of whole corn into the clabber. So we'll put some whole corn in there, we'll put our milk, we'll let it sit 3 days, we mix that up. We mix that with our starches, our bulkers, our bananas, and our roots, and we have a complete diet for our animals. We've seen amazing results with this. We feed mostly the pigs, and the egg-laying chickens and the meat chickens are the 3 animals that are getting these homemade concentrados, these homemade formulas. We also do make a homemade mineral formula, which is a combination of rice flour and then different minerals, animal minerals that we get, and we mix that up, and they just get about a handful of that, and then we also give them our dried microorganism mix that we make. And if you want to see more about that, we have a video on how we make our microorganisms. So they get all those different elements, a really complete diet. Our cows mostly get all of the nutrition they need from the pasture, but we also do give them supplemental bananas, as bananas have been shown to really augment the milk production. And you know, since we started doing this, it's such a different feeling of our relationship with our animals compared to going and buying these unknown sacks from the feed stores and pouring it in there. And you know, they eat it, but I can't imagine they enjoy it so much. When we started feeding them these real whole foods from the land that are organically raised, you can tell the animals love it so much more, and we know that the nutrition going into them is passing through and coming back to us. So it's a win-win for everybody. And right now I'm going to show you guys how we cook this stuff. This is a rocket stove. I'm not going to talk too much about rocket stoves because you can look rocket stoves up online. There's endless amount of videos on rocket stoves. But rocket stoves basically, the difference between a regular stove and a rocket stove is it has an L-shaped chamber in it. And by doing that L-shaped chamber and doing a certain amount of rise compared to run on your stove, you get a really great suction. And what happens is you burn your wood so much more efficiently. So I used to originally cook these things on an open fire, and I would burn probably somewhere in the range of 6 times the amount of wood. And also I'd have to stand there the whole time because the wood pile would burn down really quick. I'd have to be, you know, standing there feeding it the whole time. With this system, I stuff my bundle of small sticks into here. I can walk away for about 45 minutes. I come back. The fire's still burning hot at the bottom. I drop my next bundle in and I go back and do whatever I need to do. So it's much easier on me. There's almost no smoke involved in the system because it's burning the wood so efficiently, so it's a much healthier alternative as well. And you're using much less resources. The other nice part is we reuse all the wood on our land. So we're using clippings from trees, we're using leftovers from construction. So you know, this is some leftover construction material we had. This is stuff that when we pruned a bunch of coffee, we have tree prunings from our fruit trees, and you can get away with using really small sticks because it burns so efficiently. So the rocket stove is a great invention, and let's look at how this thing works a little bit. Alright, now we're going to add some nice salt to this, get a little bit of mineralization effect on for the animals. Also helps with the palatability. that in there. Now we're gonna let that cook up for about 45 minutes, and then we'll just scoop this out, keep using our hot water. We'll bring our next batch in, and we'll cook about 5 batches today. And then we'll take these cooked pavayas and we'll mash them up, stick them in and stuff them down real tight in our airtight containers, and we'll have some good local grown food for our animals. Thanks for joining us today. We're going to be doing weekly episodes on permaculture and fun adventure stuff in Costa Rica. It's our goal to spread permaculture across the planet. The time is now. We got to work together to all do this. Please check in, watch our YouTube channel, Eco Oasis. And if you enjoy what you see, please like, subscribe, and share with your friends so we can get the word out. See you soon.